Hey, good afternoon everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to make some really good chocolate chip cookies. I was thinking of a title for these and I was thinking maybe store-bought because they do taste like the ones you get at the store or awesome. You know, that's kind of overused. But I tweaked this recipe until I came up with some of the best cookies that I have ever tasted. And for my regular viewers, you'll know I don't talk up my own food, so these are pretty good. You can make these by hand. I'm using my stand mixer just because it's faster. If you are going to do it by hand, I'd recommend that you use either a wooden spoon to beat the butter and the sugar or some type of hand mixer. You could actually use a potato masher if you wanted to, if you're stuck in a large bowl, but if you got one of these, it's the best way to go. Technique is important with this. I'm going to show you in a certain way to do it. And if anybody is wondering what these are, this is not a food ingredient. This is a bag of rubber gloves I keep around in the kitchen instead of having to carry around the whole box, because for certain recipes like this, a couple of gloves will serve you nicely. Now you can use your hands, just make sure you wash them really well first. And let's get going. Preheat the oven to 375 to start off. Here's the list of ingredients. I got the beater attachment and I've left some butter out on the counter. It's not quite soft enough yet, so what I'm going to do is just put it in the microwave for 15 or 20 seconds at low power just to soften it up a bit more. That worked out pretty well. And if you've never used the power, just going to take this off for a second. If you've never used the power setting on your microwave, most of them are the same, and it's kind of neat. What you do is just put your time in and then push the power button and pick a number, like 40% would be 4, and that way you can heat things up a little bit without melting them completely, because I want the butter soft but I don't want it running. And as you can see, that worked out just great. So I'm going to lock this up and start this on low to cream while I measure the sugars. I got the white sugar ready first, so I'll just pop that up a bit, put that in, and get the brown measured. I always keep my brown sugar in a Ziploc to not dry out, and if you're going to be packing it like I will, cut the top of it right off. And the cleanest way to do this without making a huge mess on the counter is to just get your cup right in the container there and put some in and then flatten it by hand. And that way you get a nice cup of packed brown sugar and your counter stays clean. Yeah, you can see that the butter is creaming to a degree with the white. When you put the brown in, it will do it some more. You can nudge it along with a spatula, which you're going to need at some point. Just pop the rest of it down in there. Then get your eggs and vanilla ready. Now you want to stop the mixer for a second. Put the vanilla in. That's 1, 2. Let that mix up, and you'll see it'll start to liquefy fairly quickly, much more than it had been. Then put the egg in. When the egg is mixed up a little bit that you know it's not going to splash out of the mixing bowl, turn it up a little bit, because you want all the sugars and the egg mixed in well before you add the milk. And if you've got some stuff sticking to the sides, by all means, get your spatula out and scrape it down. You will kind of have to go around the beater blade because it's not going to be really convenient right now to take that out. That's looking good. So I'll get the milk in there. Quarter cup. And definitely start this back on low because it will splash if you don't. And even on low it may a little. And I know some of these come with those fancy splash shields, but I don't happen to have one. I just wipe up the mess. So while that's going, just set that off to the side and get a bowl for your flour and baking soda. I took a minute to measure the chocolate chips first because that way I don't have to clean the measuring cups, whereas if I did the flour first I'd have to do that. Okay, so I got 2.5. Now I like dark chocolate chips in my cookies. If you want to use milk chocolate, go ahead. White chocolate maybe. Butterscotch, well, it's a different recipe. So add the baking soda, sprinkle it over your flour, and just mix that in with a spoon. So stop that for a minute. Just kind of sneak in around wherever the beater isn't. And just put in a few spoons of the flour mixture to start off with. Because if you don't, and you put it all in at once, the flour will just fly up everywhere. So get a bit more. After the second addition, you can put it all in at once after at the end. It's going to start to thicken up quite a bit at this point. So stop your mixer and get your spatula out and clean it down a bit. Pop the rest of that in. You can see how the flour's making a mist there, so you can see how you don't want to do that right away at the beginning. It's going to thicken up considerably. So once it does, get your spatula down there and sprinkle in about half of the chocolate chips. This part won't take very long at all. And you don't want to do it too long because it'll be rough on your motor. Pop in the rest. Mix that very briefly. And since you are going to be handling the cookies with gloves to get them mixed up, you might want to just put in the chips by hand. That's always an option here. Okay, so once it's all basically in one piece like that, time to get your gloves on. So we got a very nice cookie dough batter going here. And don't be afraid to get your hands in here. Clean all that off. And definitely take your beater off at this point. Now you can actually use the fingers of the glove or the spatula to clean it down. It doesn't really matter. So get the bowl off. You won't be needing this anymore. Now you can start divvying it up here just to see. What I do is I would squeeze it first and make sure that you don't have all your chocolate chips in one spot in the batter. Yeah, it's really thick, as you can see, and this is not even refrigerated or anything. So I'm going to visually divide this into 4 pieces using my gloves, and let's go over to the stove where I got my cookie sheets ready to go. So there's the first 6 done. I'll try this from the other side so you get a easier look. So split that in 2 and divide that in thirds. Shape your cookies and keep going like that till you're done. So there's all the cookies made and ready to go. Oven's heated up to 375. Make sure you've got a timer for this one. You want them in for exactly 12 minutes. Once you've made these once, you can adjust the time up or down by a minute for the texture you want. Timer's off. Now let's see what we got. Yep. Aren't those nice? They're a little puffy because they just came out of the oven. There's the other batch. And they will settle down a bit as they cool. So right now, they're really too soft to move. So I'm going to let them set on the stove here for a few minutes because they're way too soft to move right now, and they'll shrink down a little bit. So after about 10 or 15 minutes, I'll transfer them to the wire rack to cool completely. So after it's been about 15 minutes or so, just slide your cookies off onto a rack to cool completely. Now you can leave them on the rack till they're fully cooled. They're cooled sufficiently enough that you can crack one open and see what they look like and have a taste. They're really soft at this point, and the chocolate is still melted. These are really good. You should definitely try these. So that's how you make really good chocolate chip cookies. Thank you for watching. I do hope to see you again.